Welcome to Animistic Times. Previously, we embarked on a journey with Jonathan Harker as he ventured into the heart of Eastern Europe, arriving at the mysterious and foreboding castle, Count Dragomir. Strange occurrences and an overwhelming sense of dread set the stage for what's to come. Jonathan's exploration of the castle revealed eerie statues and a landscape steeped in shadows and secret. As the night fell, he found himself haunted by unexplainable sounds and an overwhelming sense of being watched. The mysteries of the castle are just beginning to unravel. What horrors lie ahead? The first light of dawn filtered weakly through the heavy curtains, casting long shadows across the cold stone floor of my chamber. I awoke with a start, my heart pounding from dreams I could not fully remember. Images of ancient walls closing in, of figures in the dark watching me, waiting. The sense of unease that had plagued me since my arrival had only deepened overnight, but I pushed it aside as best I could. There was work to be done, and I had no intention of letting my imagination get the better of me. After dressing, I left my room and wandered through the labyrinthine corridors of the castle, searching for the dining hall where I had met the Count the night before. The silence was pervasive, broken only by the faint echoes of my footsteps on the stone floors. The air was thick with the scent of damp and decay, as though the castle itself was slowly crumbling under the weight of its own history. The hallways were adorned with portraits of stern-faced ancestors, their eyes seeming to follow me as I passed. Each face bore a striking resemblance to the Count, and I couldn't help but wonder about the lives they had led, secrets they had kept. What kind of legacy had they left behind in this desolate place? And what kind of man was Count Dragomir, to be the last of his line? I finally found the dining hall, where a modest breakfast had been laid out for me. There was no sign of the Count, but a note had been left on the table, written in a neat, elegant hand. Mr. Harker, I regret that I cannot join you this morning. My duties require my attention elsewhere in the castle. Please enjoy your breakfast and feel free to explore the grounds at your leisure. There is much to see, and I trust you will find your stay here most enlightening. Dragomir, there was a darkness here, a malevolent force that I could feel creeping ever closer, waiting for the right moment to strike. I knew that I had to stay alert, to keep my wits about me if I was to survive whatever lay ahead. As I stepped out into the courtyard, I was struck by the stark contrast between the beauty of the surrounding landscape and the oppressive atmosphere of the castle itself. The mountains rose up around me, their peaks shrouded in mist, and the forest below was a sea of dark green, seemed to stretch on forever. It was a place of wild, untamed beauty, and yet it felt as though the castle had tainted it somehow, casting a shadow over everything it touched. The courtyard was overgrown with weeds, the once grand fountain at its center now dry and cracked. The statues that lined the pathways were worn and weathered, their features eroded by time. As I walked among them, I noticed that many of the statues depicted scenes of battle and sacrifice, grim reminders of the castle's violent past. One statue in particular caught my eye. It stood apart from the others, tucked away in a secluded corner of the courtyard. The figure was that of a woman, her face turned upwards as if in supplication, her hands outstretched towards the sky. There was something hauntingly familiar about her features, and as I studied the statue more closely, I realized that it bore a striking resemblance to the portraits I had seen inside the castle. Who was this woman? And why had she been immortalized in stone, hidden away from the rest of the world? I felt a chill run down my spine as I reached out to touch the statue's cold, smooth surface. There was a plaque at the base, but the inscription had been worn away, leaving only a few faint, illegible marks. I spent the rest of the morning exploring the grounds, but I could not shake the feeling that I was being watched. The castle loomed over me like a sentinel, its windows dark and unyielding, its walls brimming with secrets. Every rustle of the leaves, every distant cry of a bird seemed to carry a hidden meaning, as though the very earth was trying to warn me of something. By the time I returned to my chambers, the sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the courtyard. I sat at the small desk in my room, trying to make sense of the day's events. The more I thought about it, the more certain I became that there was something terribly wrong about this place. Something that went far beyond the strange behavior of the Count, or the eerie silence that permeated the castle. There was a darkness here, a malevolent force that I could feel creeping ever closer, waiting for the right moment to strike. I knew that I had to stay alert, keep my wits about me if I was to survive whatever lay ahead. As I put my pen down and prepared for bed, I heard a faint sound, a low, distant moan that seemed to come from deep within the castle. It was a sound that chilled me to the bone, a sound that I knew I would never forget. I stood by the window, staring out into the night, but there was nothing to see, only the impenetrable darkness of the forest below, and the oppressive shadow of the castle above. The moan came again, louder this time, and I realized with a sinking feeling that it was coming from within the walls of my chamber. I quickly crossed the room, lighting a candle and searching every corner for the source of the sound. But there was nothing, no sign of movement, no hidden doors or passageways. The sound had stopped as abruptly as it had begun, leaving only the silence in its wake. Exhausted and unnerved, I finally climbed into bed, pulling the covers up to my chin. Sleep was slow to come, and when it did, it was filled with dark, twisted dreams. Dreams of shadowy figures moving through the corridors of the castle, their faces hidden, their intentions unknown. In the early hours of the morning, I awoke with a start, my heart pounding in my chest. The room was cold, fire long since died out, and as I lay there in the darkness, I could feel the weight of the castle pressing down on me, suffocating me with its silence. Whatever this place was, it was no ordinary castle. And whatever Count Dragomir was, he was no ordinary man. I knew then that my journey had only just begun, and that the answers I sought would not come easily, or without a price. As the shadows deepen and the mystery thickens, what will Jonathan uncover next? The terror is far from over, and the secrets of the castle are just beginning to reveal themselves. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapter of this haunting tale. If you're enjoying the story so far, leave a comment and share your thoughts on what might be lurking in the darkness. Stay tuned. Things are about to get even more unsettling.